Welcome back to the podcast. It is not the daily, it's a bonus edition of some football coverage at Ohio State. That's Berm. I am Austin Ward, and the Buckeyes have added again to the roster. Berm, who and how?
Nigel Glover, a former four-star linebacker from Clayton High School in Northmont, Ohio, and or the other way around, Northmont High School in Clayton, Ohio. Nigel signed with Northwestern as a 2023 prospect, so he was on campus with Northwestern for a month, getting ready for his freshman season when things went weird in Northwestern, and he decided to enter the transfer portal, made a couple visits, checked out Ohio State, Kentucky, and Michigan. The Buckeyes don't really have a scholarship available for him right now, which is the interesting part. He's choosing to walk on to Ohio State for the first semester, and then the plan is for going on scholarship in January. So this is sort of going to count against the 2024 class when it comes to the scholarship numbers, but former top 10 player in the state, according to pretty much every national recruiting website, and a guy that at 6'3", 225 pounds can help the Buckeyes in a lot of ways, can help them this year potentially on special teams at linebacker, and then really start to work and hope to develop into something a little bit more set in stone for the Buckeyes defense moving down the road.
Yeah, the way that the NCAA has handled the transfer portal is that the only other way you can get in outside of those two established windows are if your head coach is fired. Then you have a new 30-day window that is what Nigel Glover pursued here. When that happened, there were a lot of questions to us. Is there anyone on Northwestern's roster that Ohio State would be interested in pursuing? And the answer at that time was, it doesn't seem likely because of the scholarship situation. This is a unique set of circumstances. There weren't, many veteran proven players on Northwestern's roster, a team that went 1-11 last year who would have been of much interest to Ohio State. It didn't really click into my mind that they would look into a four-star in-state prospect like this. He was one of I believe the highest defensive signee in Northwestern's class, a very good player. But that didn't click into gear because Ohio State already had some commitments that you can follow up here at Berm with that they thought they already had in the class for this year, and some others that they thought would be committing for that 2024 number that you alluded to. So it didn't seem like the fit was going to materialize, and then both parties found a way to make that work.
Yeah, I think the door really opened here when Kingston Viamuasa and Edwin Spillman picked Notre Dame and Tennessee respectively, and once that occurred, I think the Buckeyes said, hey, you know what? There's an opportunity here. Let's just bring in Nigel and have a conversation and see if he's willing to be patient and figure out a way to get onto the roster now and not count against the scholarship count until January like Viamuasa or Edwin Spillman would have. I think initially there was a little bit of concern whether or not he would be willing to take that chance. But the beauty of second chances in life is that you get a kid here who Ohio State did not offer out of high school. Michigan did not offer out of high school. But, 7 months, 8 months later, he's added 20 pounds. He's running a little faster. He looks a little bit more like a college linebacker. And you start to see an opportunity for both sides to say, hey, maybe I can make this right. And maybe I can take this shot. And for Nigel Glover, it's a guy taking a chance on himself here. Kentucky had spots available and probably a better opportunity to play early in Lexington. But he clearly looked at the Ohio State roster, and the dream of playing in the Big Ten for a kid growing up, in Ohio was a lot to overlook. And a couple days passed after his Ohio State official visit, and you could sort of see that there were machinations in place to figure out how can we get this done. And for the Buckeyes, like I said, I don't think it's something where you count on him this year, but at linebacker, they definitely wanted 3 in the class of 2024, and now they have that in a roundabout kind of way with the addition of Nigel Glover.
Yeah, I think that this is an important thing to keep in mind. There are coaches and federal legislators looking at, taking over the transfer portal and how it works. This is a case where this opportunity should exist for players in his situation. And I think that this is a potential success story. We'll see how it happens on the field. But, Nigel Glover or other players in his situation at Northwestern shouldn't have had to suffer through a year of eligibility or sit out entirely for something that was completely not under their control. I don't know how Northwestern is going to manage to play football at all. But for a true freshman in Nigel Glover's situation, that would have been even more untenable and unfair to them and set back their future. This is a reminder that not everything in the portal is negative, evil, however people want to categorize it, or difficult. Like, it's hard that there has to be so many other ways to manage our roster, but this is an example of why a lot of these things were carved out to protect players.
Yep. And I think on that note, it's probably a good time for us to just talk to Nigel about it himself. So we'll take a break right here, and we'll be back with Nigel Glover.
All right, we are joined now by a new member of the Ohio State roster, former 4-star from Clayton Northmont, Nigel Glover. We have spilled the beans. We have already talked about you picking Ohio State, Nigel, but why exactly did you do so?
The development, the expectations, coach knows, all the coaches is great. It was just home. When I went there, it was home.
Nigel, obviously the recruiting process for you was unique. Ohio State had a chance to sign you in their recruiting class 9 months ago, and they didn't offer at the time. You got a second chance here to look at other schools, Ohio State, Kentucky, Michigan. What was different in this go around with Jim Knowles, with James Laurinaitis there, that really sort of made this click, not just for your side, but from what they were telling you as well?
Yeah. Back in high school, it was a problem with the numbers in the recruiting aspect. That's what happened right there. But I think really what it was I found my place at Northwestern, and I found it early, and I was really comfortable committing to Coach Fitzgerald and Coach McGargle. Things happen, and that's over with now. And I'm looking for a new spot. The numbers issue, it got cleared up, and now I'm here.
It still seemed, Nigel, like it was.
He froze. He'll be back in a second. The internet is a wonderful thing, Nigel. You know that. When you went on this official visit over the weekend to Ohio State, you spent the time there with you going out to dinner. You're getting to conversate with Ryan Day and Jim Knowles, with James Laurinaitis. How did they see you fitting in this defense, and what role is that? Are you more of a true linebacker? Is this a possibility where you're playing that jack position, that weak side spot? I mean, how do they see you fitting in?
Yes, they see me fitting as a will linebacker in their system. I like the will linebacker a lot because it almost feels like, to me, it's like a DB with run fits, if that makes sense. That's how I kind of seen it. It seemed like a position I'd be able to play well, use my athletic abilities, and really show off my range of motion.
Sorry for that. When you looked through this process, Nigel, and you were trying to work through numbers, what were they going to be the options? Do you have to walk on somewhere because it's late in the process? You were not expecting to have to do this right before training camp at another school. What were sort of the options laid out for you? Because it seemed like everybody else is just gonna be like, well, we're full, you're out of luck, but it didn't seem like there was a way to work this out for you.
Yeah. When I entered the transfer portal, I was expecting much more schools to have filled up rosters. That just wasn't the case. There was a lot of schools with 1-2 scholarships left, and I was blessed to get quite a bit of opportunities over the first 2 days after I hit the portal, and quickly from there, I narrowed it down to 3 schools, took the 3 visits, and chose from there.
With Ohio State, Nigel, what is it about the Buckeyes that, growing up, I know a lot of you guys down in that southwest part of the state you're on the fence. You like Ohio State, but it's not like you grew up dreaming of Ohio State the way that kids in Columbus do, or sometimes in Northeast Ohio, et cetera. What was your vibe of the program through the recruiting process? And has it changed now that you've had a chance to get more personal interaction and more like one-on-one time with the coaches in these last couple of days?
Yeah, well, I grew up aspiring to be a Buckeye. I was a huge Buckeye fan. I was a diehard. But during the recruiting process, I didn't know that in business, there's not emotion, and I have to pick what's best for me, and it's a long-term investment. But earlier in my high school recruitment, I was still in that mindset of almost a fan, if that makes sense. It was like my dream to play here, blah, 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 if that makes sense. But now in this cycle around, it's more of a long-term investment. And, I just feel like I could be developed the best at Ohio State compared to the other schools that offered me. And I got offers from really good schools with really good development. And, I appreciated the opportunity. I just felt that Ohio State was the best school for me to go to development-wise.
Nigel, growing up then and envisioning yourself maybe wearing scarlet and gray, who were your favorite players? Who were maybe some of the linebackers that you modeled your game after?
Well, I used to be a quarterback. I wasn't a linebacker at all. So, Terrell Pryor, Braxton.
Terrell Pryor, okay.
It was them two, yeah.
A little dual threat action then.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, when I was a kid, I wasn't thinking about being a pro. I was thinking about being a Buckeye. And it was those two guys that I used to love to watch.
All right. So there's no ties to watching James Laurinaitis. That's even before your time.
Yeah, I was a little bit before my time.
What, as you look at this, you grew up a little bit. I mean, physically, you most of the national recruiting profiles still talk to you about you in terms of like pre-junior season size wise. Like I see stuff listed like 6'3", 205 pounds. Like, where are you now? How did the 4 weeks that you spent at Northwestern help get you ready mentally for what to expect in college?
Yes. Right now I'm 220. Under Coach Hooten and Coach Spanos, they developed me over those 4 weeks as not just an athlete, but as a person as well. But athletically, I feel like I got faster already. Feel like I got stronger. I put on about 5 pounds, 5 good pounds, and I feel like I'm at a weight that is good to start off at. I want to obviously keep growing, keep getting stronger. I'm just throwing out a guess. I can see myself playing around 235, so I still got a little ways to go. But I feel comfortable at the weight that I'm at.
Nigel, when you allude to those 4 weeks there over the summer with Northwestern, we don't have to go into any details of what else you may have experienced there or heard, the rumors, all that stuff. That doesn't really matter. That's not for us to worry about, really. But just your life was turned upside down by that. How did you initially react to that, and then how quickly were you able to, put together a new plan for what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I almost didn't believe it when it happened. I think most of the college football community could say that Fitzgerald was the last guy that they would expect that would happen to. I've had nothing but a great experience with Fitzgerald and with Northwestern, and it was unfortunate that happened. But when it happened, I took about a week or so to assess the situation, talk to my family. I went back home that weekend. We felt as if it was best for me to explore other options.
Was it even in the realm of possibility in your mind when you entered the transfer portal that 2 weeks later you were going to be an Ohio State Buckeye? Like, has that hit you yet, or are you just at a point because you're now a college guy, nothing really phases you, you're totally cool? But like, that's a big deal, right? Like that's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very crazy. I know my 7-year-old self is screaming right now, but I see it as a blessing and as an opportunity. A very great opportunity. I'm very happy to be here.
What number are you going to wear? Do you know?
Shoot, we'll see. I'm not sure yet.
What do you want to wear?
One step at a time, Berm.
No, we're going on. What do you want to wear?
What do I want to wear? 9, 2, one of those. That'll be cool. But
Terrell Pryor.
I'm just, yeah.
Is there anybody on defense wearing 2 right now, Austin?
They've all changed so much. I feel like somebody has to be in it, but we'll find out right on Thursday, because now Nigel Glover immediately goes from one spot to another and straight into training camp with the Buckeyes on Thursday morning. So
yeah. How does that work, Nigel? Like, we're going to hang up here and you're going to start packing? I mean, how does this work for you from here?
Yeah, so I'm going through the application process right now. I'm filling out forms I need to fill out. And as soon as I can possibly get on campus, I'm going to get on campus.
It's crazy how fast this all unfolds.
More of a whirlwind. So as busy as he is, we certainly appreciate Nigel Glover taking a couple minutes to talk with us on the podcast about his decision. Nigel, glad it seems to have worked out for you, and congratulations on becoming Ohio State Buckeye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. For Nigel and Berm, I am Austin Ward. Thanks so much for joining us on the special edition of the Podcast Daily. We will talk to you later.